So I might ask you guys, before I tell you what power is, why spoil it? Why don't you tell me what you think power is? What is this power? What is this stuff we speak of the power? And if anybody's actually got a copy of the CD, actually the introduction goes through it all, so you should know the answers if you've heard it. It's a test here, isn't it? Everyone who's got it now thinks I've not listened to it, I don't know what he's on about. So if I'm sitting in the power, or if I'm sitting to build power, or when you say a medium is in the power, and when you say a medium's always dropped out, always look at he's not built his power properly, he's dropped out the power, look. That medium's not in his power. That medium can't hold the power. I have an image in my mind there, something like Star Trek. I can't hold it, I can't hold the power. So what is this strange thing we call the power? Love, vibration, energy. Interesting. So okay, I'm going to put you out of your misery then. What is the power? Well, the power, first and foremost, is the fuel for mediumship. Power is what makes that whole thing work. So that little diagram, it all takes place from the power. The power is the fuel that makes it work. So a medium, to be able to raise their vibration and connect with spirit, they need power to do that. So it's a spiritual power. It's not a material power. You can't go and buy it down the shop. You can't get it out the socket on the wall. You can't get it from the petrol station. But it's a little bit like petrol, because if a medium hasn't got any power in their tank, they won't be able to go very far. They'll sadly run out of gas, and that will be it. And so in a way, I like to view it as a little bit like spiritual stamina. You know, if you had normal stamina to enable you to go for a run and run for quite a long way, it's your spiritual stamina to enable you to go to connect with spirit and stay connected with spirit for a period of time. Now, some of you will know that I've got a bit of a scientific background, and I once upon a time sadly did a degree in physics. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, so if you're thinking about it, the answer is don't do it. But because of that, it has had one benefit in that I do know the scientific definition of power. And the scientific definition of power is the ability to produce energy for a period of time. That's the definition of it. And it's very similar. So the power is the ability for the medium to produce energy to link with spirit for a period of time. So if you've got a lot of power, you can stay connected for a lot longer than if you've got very little power. If you've got very little power at all, you might just touch spirit and that'll be it. Whereas if you've got a lot of power, you might be able to manage a whole demonstration for an hour and a half. Or even an hour and 45 if you were here recently. So power is important from that perspective. So that's what it is. So, but the reason it is so vitally important is no mediumship, whatever mediumship it is, takes place without the power. So whether it be mental mediumship on the platform, whether it be trance mediumship, whether it be physical mediumship, all forms of mediumship do need power for them to function. No power, no mediumship. So it's important that we understand that. It really is quite important that we understand that. And it was actually, I was listening to Gordon today, as I mentioned earlier, and he did actually say a really interesting phrase that I wrote down. Power manifests the spirit world to make communication possible. Power manifests the spirit world to make communication possible. So we talk a little bit about raising our vibration to become aware of the spirit world. If you imagine the radio analogy, it's the power that then enables you to tune into that vibration, that wavelength. Without the power, you would never get there. So we do need that power. That power is important. So without power, mediumship is impossible. So it enables us to link with spirit, and it sustains that link with spirit. So it's the spark we need to get us there, and it's the energy we need to keep getting us there as well. And because power is energy over a period of time. Power and energy, to be honest, are almost interchangeable words. But power is effectively the amount of fuel in your tank. Energy is pretty much the rate at which you're using it up. So, all make sense? Or have I lost you all already? Now, power is the difference between a psychic and a medium. So you've often heard it said that all mediums are psychic, but not all psychics are mediums. Because if a psychic has not developed the power, they won't be able to connect with spirit. So a medium is somebody who is psychic, but somebody who's also developed the power to go that next step, to be able to leapfrog up to the spirit world and make spirit communication possible as well. So my equation, a medium equals a psychic plus power. So you can see that a psychic is not a medium, same as a medium, because they haven't got the power. There you go. See, all this came to me today in the shower. I'm ever so glad I went in the shower today. Oh yes, yes. So, what would happen if we didn't have enough power, or we had no power whatsoever, do you think? Now you tell me, what would happen? If you haven't got enough power, or you've got no power whatsoever, what would happen? So you're not going to link. If you ain't got no power, you're not going to link. And if you haven't got enough power, what's going to happen? You're going to make a link, but it's going to fizzle out, and you're going to drop out your link. And now, has that experience ever happened to anyone here, do you think? Yeah. Ever? So that's right. So if there's not enough power, you may struggle to link with spirit. You may struggle even to get there. And for me, one thing Gordon always talked about was that people shouldn't be allowed to develop their mediumship until they've been taught this point and they've spent some time learning to develop their power. Because if you try and start developing mediumship and you've got no power whatsoever, you're going to find out that it's not working very well and not very good at it, and it's going to be a bit disappointing, isn't it? Because you've got nothing in your tank to get you going. You wouldn't buy a brand new car and not put any petrol in it and think you're going to have a whale of a time in it, because if there's no fuel in the tank, it ain't going to go very far. Or you might not put a teaspoon in and see how far you get in your great car. And as you get around the block, it's like, well, this car's no good, is it? It's not the right car for me. It doesn't work. Same with your mediumship. Our mediumship functions through the subconscious mind, not the conscious mind. Anytime you bring in the conscious mind, you will interfere with your mediumship. And also, not only does it function through the subconscious mind, it also functions through the superconscious mind. I'll come on to this in a minute. I'll not confuse you too much at this stage. We'll stick to the power. We'll stick to the power. So, if we haven't got enough power, we'll struggle to make the link in the first place. We'll struggle to sustain our links. It will be a little bit like what I was talking about. If you can't quite tune into the frequency, there's a bit of static. You remember, if you try and tune your dial in, and you get other bits of other stations and bits of this station, and it goes out again, it comes back in again, it'll all be a bit higgledy-piggledy. You'll touch the energy briefly, but you won't get a huge amount. Whereas if you tune right in, it's crystal clear, it's accurate, you can go for it. Wow, isn't it fantastic? And if you don't develop your own power, if you haven't got enough power to sustain your mediumship will always be on the ragged edge. You will never function well as a medium if you don't develop your power. So it's that important. So really, that's why I was told in my head today that actually this is the most important. Because if you've got no fuel in the tank, it makes no difference how nice a car you've got, whether you've got a nice little Mini, whether you've got a Rolls Royce, or whether you've got a Ferrari, it won't go anywhere. It won't work unless you can get the fuel in the tank. So the power is vital. And also the other thing about power as well is, by learning to build the power and sitting in the power, it actually helps us to develop and unfold the spiritual gifts within us, which is a wonderful byproduct, isn't it? And in a way, it's about giving the time to spirit, and it's about spirit working on us and working on the faculties that we have. They have to come to work with us as much as we have to work with them. And if we don't make ourselves available for them to have a look at us and have a play and tweak around with our psychic faculties, then should we really get a bit excited when it doesn't work and we've not made the time for them to help as well? Because they're there waiting to help us. So we need to allow them to come close to do that. So that's all about the power. What happens if we have the power? What happens if we don't have the power?